It's the Buffalo Bills come to MetLife Stadium for the second week in a row, and they win. They beat the Jets last week, had to come from behind this week. They take care of the Giants 28-14. We'll hear from Giants head coach Pat Shurmur. We'll hear from Eli Manning and a whole lot more. But this is a disappointing start for the 2019 season at home for the Giants. I got a couple of guys by my side that know a thing or two about winning. Super Bowl champions from Super Bowl 46, Victor Cruz and Antrel Roll. That's it. We need something to cheer about here today. Antrel, I'm going to start with you because defense was a problem last week, and you said to yourself, all right, Cowboys have one of the best offensive lines. They got one of the best running backs. They got a Pro Bowl quarterback, and they've won the division 2 of the last 3 years, and they got weapons all over the place. Buffalo looked like the Cowboys. What is up with this Giant defense, and how do they fix it?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't think it has anything to do with the Cowboys or Buffalo. I think it has to do with the defense and their scheme. It seems like they're out of whack. And when I mean out of whack, it means gap. It seems like guys don't understand where their gap position is supposed to be. It seems like their coverage is extremely soft. It's almost like they're out there playing 7-on-7 on each and every single down.
Victor, on the other side, the Giants aren't scoring points. Now, they had some opportunities. Fowler had a big drop near the end of the first half that could have changed things. But we're seeing the fact with Golden Tate being suspended and with Sterling Shepard out, nobody was getting open for the most part.
Yeah, you could see, especially obviously not even being able to score in that first half is tough. Obviously some key drops early on in that game. But you see, even as you're lining up, they're stacking 8-9 guys in the box. They're daring you to throw the football, and obviously they know, how decimated the Giants are at the wide receiver position with Sterling Shepard being gone this week. Obviously Golden Tate has been well documented. So the guys that are out there, they're daring Eli to throw the football and make things happen on the perimeter, and those things just weren't happening today on the perimeter. Obviously, T.J. Jones later on in the game provided a spark, kind of brought them back into the game a little bit, but obviously too little too late in terms of trying to get fully back in the game or tie the ball game because, as Antrel said, the defense just wasn't holding up their end of the bargain today.
So how do they fix this? I mean, you start the game off, you go 75 yards in the opening drive. You don't throw the ball once. Barkley's got 55 yards rushing, a 27-yard run for a touchdown. That should soften a defense, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But first things first, Giants got to get some guys healthy. I mean, they're not going to pose a threat with anybody. Obviously with Saquon is the only threat. Him being the only guy for the defense to key on isn't going to be beneficial for the Giants moving forward. They have to get healthy on the perimeter and then be able to do some things with that. Obviously getting Sterling back hopefully next week will be great. But there needs some more firepower on that perimeter to make it happen.
Antrel, you were part of this broadcast team last year, so we saw this, right? I mean, Giants get back in the game. There's 11 minutes to go in the game. You're down 1 touchdown. That's where a defense has to come together and make a stop. Instead, they let Buffalo use up 6 minutes and 3 seconds, and then Lawrence makes the mistake on the field goal, a dumb penalty, and now instead of only being down 10, you're down 14. But why can't this team get a stop when they need it?
I think it has a lot to do with attitude. It has a lot to do with integrity and the mindset of a defense. I don't see enough tenacious attitudes out there. I don't see enough guys that want to fight. I see a lot of guys laying on blocks. I see a lot of soft coverages. It almost seems as if they're uncomfortable in their coverage and in their scheme. When I got drafted to Arizona, they made me play 9 yards off. It was very uncomfortable. It was a very unfamiliar territory for myself. So I played scared. And that's what it seems like right now that they're playing the back end. It seems like they're playing scared. It seems like they're playing not to get beat as opposed to playing to make a play. And you need more spark from those guys. Your leaders, the Alec Ogletree, the Janoris Jenkins, we're not seeing enough of those guys show up on Sundays, and that's why the bleeding has been consistent for the past 2 weeks.
All right, Victor mentioned T.J. Jones. I mean, he got signed by the Giants just this week. Now, he was with them throughout the course of training camp. Just a short time ago, he spoke with Paul Dottino.
TJ, the offense kind of had its moments, but overall, another sputtering day. Can you explain it all what had happened?
We just can't dig ourselves in a hole. I think we got to go back to the drawing board, clean up some things, and just not beat ourselves. A lot of times, whether it's penalties, false start from myself, just doing the little things that don't put yourself in the hole on the third downs, the second downs. And again, it's self-inflicted.
Again, that first drive, 2 weeks in a row, you guys go right down the field, get a touchdown. It looks so crisp and so smooth, and then the spark seemed to die. Why do you think that was?
Again, I think it's self-inflicted. I think it's the little things, whether it's jumping off sides, alignments, blocks, drop balls, the little things, route details. It's all things we can fix. It's all things that we're in control of. So right now we just have to go back and we have to make sure that the things that we can control, we do them to the best of our ability.
Now, you only came back in here a few days ago, but you caught a very nice touchdown pass on a dart from Eli and also had a big kickoff return on special teams. That has to make you feel like you can build on something.
It's definitely something to build on, first game back. But again, there's a lot for me to build on outside of those 2 plays, and there's a lot for us to build on as a team. So I think we go back tomorrow ready to work. You don't hang your head, 24-hour rule, and you get back ready to do the things right next week.
Yeah, finally, Latimer goes out with a concussion. Your wide receiving room is being absolutely decimated by injury. That's got to be tough.
Unfortunately, it's part of the game. You know that going in. You know that when you sign up to play this sport, and it's a next man in mentality. When your guys go down, you hate to see it, but you step in and you make sure that you do your job to the best of the ability. And when they come back, we want them to come back as fast as they can.
TJ, thanks for your time. Best of luck.
And thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Let's take a look at the Giant receivers in this ball game, and obviously Fowler, wound up having 5 catches for 51 yards, but a huge drop near the end of the first half. Evan Ingram, don't let those numbers fool you. 6 for 48. Before that last drive with 30 seconds to go, he had 3 catches for 4 yards. And then T.J. Jones stepped in and did a nice job. He had the nice touchdown catch to give the team a spark and at least get them to within 7 points. What about Evan Ingram? What were you seeing that they were doing to Evan Ingram that did not allow him to really get going today?
Well, I just saw them being physical with him. I saw them lining up over him, forcing him to be, having him to fight through a linebacker, having him fight through second-level guys, and just having people in his face. And I think that, accompanied with him Eli not having a lot of time back there in the backfield, made it so that it was harder for him to get the football. That's why 2-minute situations towards the end of the game, it was easier to get him the football. They're playing more natural coverages for him to get the ball. But I saw them being physical with Evan Ingram, and he's got to be able to combat that and fight that. And the offensive line also has to give Eli the time to give Evan Ingram the football as well.
All right, Antrell, I want to go to you on the defensive side of the ball. Too many times last week and even this week, or especially this week, when the Giants did get pressure. Now, Allen's got a big-time arm, okay? He can throw the ball when he's on the run. But do they not use the plaster rule at all anymore here? I mean, he starts scrambling. Isn't your job to get your hands on the guy and shove the guy? I mean, it's not pass interference if the ball ain't in the air, and you can only cover for so long.
Absolutely. You have to know what you can do and when you can do it. And, I always say a secondary is only as good as your interior front and vice versa. So these guys are playing soft coverage. They're not going in. They're not challenging a whole lot. You see a lot of teams, both teams have been putting them in that bunch formation, and it's making them back up and play a softer coverage. But if it doesn't dictate for you to back up and play a softer coverage, get up in their face, manhandle them at the line of scrimmage, allow your interior to get some pressure on the quarterback. Now, we all know Josh Allen has a very, very strong arm, but you have John Brown that's clearing out and is leaving other guys open to throw the underneath routes. Your linebackers have to drop back in their coverage. You can't get sucked up in the play action. You've been sustaining the run fairly well today, I would say. So drop back in coverage. You have to play with your peripheral vision. And right now, I'm just not seeing enough smart football that's being played. Whether it's guys that don't understand the scheme, whether they don't understand where their help is, or guys just playing timid.
Marcus Golden cracked the seal for the Giants as they were able to finally get a sack. They had a couple in the ball game, although they didn't get pressure when they really needed it. But Golden spoke with Paul Dottino after the game.
All right, Marcus, you got to the quarterback for half a sack on 2 occasions today. That's got to make you feel better about the pass rush,
Yes, it make you feel better, but you always want to get the win. It's all about the win at the end of the day. They got to keep working, keep grinding, baby.
How difficult is it when they get a lead like that and you have to keep fighting from behind basically most of the day?
It's a team sport, man. We got to be able to work together, work hard, and grind. That's all we can do.
How difficult was it to deal with Allen and his legs? He obviously has a very strong arm.
He's a good player, good quarterback, bright future, man. I got a lot of respect for him.
Marcus, thanks for your time.
All right, thank you.
So the Giants got a little bit more pressure on the quarterback, but when they needed to get pressure on the quarterback, when they needed to stop, it was nowhere to be found. Guests on the program receive a gift certificate to Ben and Jack's Steakhouse, located on 44th Street in Manhattan. From the celebrated porterhouse to finer seafood, anywhere Ben and Jack's will surpass your expectations of what a steakhouse should be. When we come back, we'll hear from the head coach of the New York Giants, Pat Shurmur. You're watching Giants Post Game Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz here on MSG. Back at MetLife Stadium, MetLife Central. The Buffalo Bills defeat the New York Giants 28-14 in the Giants home opener. The Giants now 3-7 in home openers at MetLife Stadium. Just a short time ago, Giants head coach Pat Shurmur addressed the media.
All right, first I thought Buffalo did a good job. They took advantage of opportunities. They scored when they needed to early. And then when we tightened it up a little bit and played a little better defense at the end, we got to make sure we score. I thought early in the game, the missed field goal and then obviously the interception before the half, those are scoring opportunities that you can't miss on. We knew going into it they were a good defense. Felt like throughout I wanted to keep Saquon involved as much as we could, even though the score got to the way it was. And then ultimately we just didn't make enough plays to win. Credit Buffalo, they played well in all three phases of the game, and we didn't make enough plays. So with that, I'll take your questions.
Coach, what was a big difference you saw defensively in that first half that you were able to do in that second half?
I think we just challenged better. That was more of the focus, make sure we just challenged everything, and we did. And, I think, they got a couple of incomplete passes within the drive. They were completing passes as early, and that was keeping drives alive. When you get those incomplete passes on first, second down, it puts pressure on your third downs, and I think that's where and then they had a couple penalties. So some of it was, and I think basically from a defensive standpoint, we just challenged more and better.
How were you able to get DeAndre Baker to settle down after a rocky start? He played better toward the back end of the game.
Yeah, well, you just got to keep talking to him. This is his fourth half of football in the NFL, and just got to keep talking to him. The guys did a good job of coaching him. He's a tough guy, and he learns from every play that he's involved in, and he'll continue to learn as he goes forward.
Why do you think you struggled so badly these first couple of weeks?
Well, we lost, right? Both scenarios, point-wise, played out the same. They got ahead on us. I meant DeAndre specifically. Oh, DeAndre? I think it's just he's a rookie corner, and he's just learning how to play the game at this level. And I think he keeps challenging, and he'll keep continuing to get better because he has the skill and ability to do it.
Coach, the first 2 weeks you've had good opening drives and have scored on them. Why do you think the offense hasn't been as consistent moving forward in the game?
Well, some of the things that happened to their offense happened to ours. We get penalties, or for whatever reason we don't get those yards you need on first, second down, and then you got those longer third downs that become a challenge for every team.
Can you speak to the impact that T.J. Jones had today?
Yeah, he did a great job. He caught the touchdown pass, certainly. He had the long punt return, which was excellent. Set us up in a position to get points, which we didn't. So for being here just a couple of days, he did a very nice job.
And how would you assess Eli's play today?
I think his play is indicative of how our team played. There were some really good plays in there, and then there's some things that we need to improve on.
Pat, starting the season 0-2 puts you in a little bit of a challenge here going forward. What's your message to the guys as you get ready for week 3?
Well, we got to go win a game in Tampa. That's the message, and that's just the way that's how you got to roll this thing out. Just go play.
Last week, obviously, Buffalo had a lot of deflections.
And they did again today.
They did again. So obviously, that's something they can do well. How do you think your guys handle it? I mean, obviously, the interception is a huge play.
The tip ball, it happens. They're good at it. I thought our guys, for the most part, did a good job protecting. And when a guy can't get home, then they put their hands up. So the one that was deflected, Saquon was running an option route. We're trying to throw him the ball, and he broke inside, and that's where the throwing lane was, and they tipped it.
What's your overall level of concern at 0-2 and just not playing the way you want to play?
Well, I think my focus is going to go right to the next opponent. That's where it's going to go.
When Cody went down, did that hamper the way you wanted to run the offense since you had 3 healthy receivers left?
We came into this, obviously, we weren't quite sure that Cody was going to make it till, late yesterday, I guess it was. So played much more 12 and 21 than I normally would do. Our receiver situation, it just is what it is, and the guys got to go out there and step up, you know, and some guys did.
Will you consider eventually getting Daniel in? Is that something at what point do you start thinking about that or look into that?
I think we got to look at how our team played, and we got to just go back and take steps to get better in all areas. I don't think that's a conversation for right now. I think we got to everybody's got to play better.
Is it a concern? It seems like the fans are getting upset early. I mean, is that a concern for you guys?
I thought the fans, there was a stretch that when we downed the punt inside the one, that was awesome. And I thought the fans did a great job of trying to energize things. We got great fans, and they deserve to see wins. And at this point, at least through today, we haven't won. And so we got to do what we can to win and help them feel better about things.
Take two more.
Coach, that first TD drive was pretty much all Barkley. Why do you think it took so long before the passing attack to gel, like into the second half?
I don't know that. I thought there was any time you don't complete passes, certainly there's reasons for it. We talked earlier about the tip balls. If you had pressure or you just don't execute on the throw and the catch part of it, or they defended it, and there's probably all those things that showed up.
What do they do defensively to limit Ingram? He had a big game last week, less so today until late in the game.
They're a very solid team. I think they've been a good defense here during Sean's tenure, and they just challenge you along the way. They got really good players that match up well when they play their loose zones, and then they also do a good job of playing man-to-man.
What do you think of the way Josh Allen played?
I thought he did a good job. I thought there was a couple times he broke contain, and he made some really nice throws with. And a couple times we were in really tight coverage. I thought he did a nice job. And then they had the structured quarterback run that he scored on, and I thought he played well.
One more. No more? How much of a challenge is it to call plays when you're that thin at receiver? Does that put a strain on you as a play caller, or you have to try to figure it out?
We just figure it out best we can, and then when you get to where you're the big challenge can be going along, obviously, is when you're down by 3 scores, is making sure you keep the runner involved, because we all know how dynamic a player he is.
Okay. That's Giants head coach Pat Shurmur talking after the game. Victor, obviously he's got to send a message, right? We can fix this, we can fix that. Is this as easy a fix as these guys are saying it is?
Well, I don't think so. I think there's a lot of gaps here, starting with the perimeter and the receiving core, and then obviously flipping the ball to the defensive side. They got to get more pressure on the quarterback. They got to get to that quarterback early and often. When you look at the teams that Trell and I were a part of, we got to that quarterback. Either that front 7 or safety blitzes, we found creative ways to get to that quarterback, and they're just not doing that on a consistent basis right now. So I think he's got a lot of holes to fill. Going in from week to week, especially from this week going into the next. But it's not out of reach. I think they still can find a way to win the next game and take it one game at a time. But they got to pray for some health first and foremost, and then figure out some schemes to get to that quarterback, because that's the only way they're going to be able to affect the opposing team and keep them off balance if you're able to get to that quarterback and bring him down a couple times.
Last time I checked, though, Justin Tuck and OC ain't
Those
suiting
guys
up
retired,
next week.
right? Yeah, exactly.
Antrell, your opinion. I mean, can this be corrected quickly?
I have to piggyback on what Vic just said. It's going to all start with the interior line up front, and you have to find a way to put pressure on the quarterback. It's not all about sacks. It's not all about the stats. It's about putting that pressure and making that quarterback force turnovers, force bag plays. But that's going to come with great coverage, because you can also have coverage sacks. You can also have coverage pressure. It's going to come with guys being a lot closer to the opponents. And there's a few times in this game, well, I'm going to say more than a few times in this game, where receivers are catching the balls or running backs are running the ball, and they haven't even been touched. That's bad football. That's called bad discipline. It's guys not knowing their assignments. It's guys not attacking the opponent, shedding blocks, make the tackle. We're not seeing enough of that. You got to go out there. You got to play mean. You have to want to compete more than you want to win. And a lot of guys don't understand that. They think it's all about the W column, but it's not. If you go out there and you compete and you lose, you can accept that because you know there's so much that you can build off of. But when you just go out there looking for a win, a lot of guys don't know how to win. You must compete in order to win football games.
All right, we're going to take a timeout. When we come back in the program, we're going to hear from Janoris Jenkins. This Giants secondary has been picked apart all season long. That and much, much more as we continue with Giants Postgame Live here on MSG. Well, you had Mark Bavaro and Jeremy Shockey ringing the bell to get things off as the Giants celebrated the top 4 plays in franchise history. As we welcome you back to Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz here on MSG. Coverage has been a big issue. I mean, both last week and this week, guys are just running through the Giants secondary like Swiss cheese. Janoris Jenkins talked about it at his locker after the game.
Hey, man, you just got to buckle up and play football. Football going to be football. Forget who they going at. We ain't known that. We just trying to win, get a W in here.
Did you see any progress with him? Maybe obviously struggled last week. He had a couple spots today. Talk about DeAndre.
All right, get some bright spots, but we don't need bright spots. We need spots bright all day, every day. Everybody got to come and play football.
Are they not coming to play football?
I don't know. We got to check that when we go to Monday. We'll see what's going on and just, like I said, man, just come out and play football.
If you see it, you say if you see it and you see guys not playing football, what are you telling them?
Oh, you got to tighten up, baby. Man, it's the NFL, baby. You got people on the line. You got jobs on the line. You got families you got to feed. Like, we can't keep coming out here going 0-2. Like, no. Can't keep losing like that.
Jack Rabbit kind of cutting to the chase right there. Antrell, I mean, you know, you watched this game today, and every throw that Eli Manning made, there was a defensive player draped over Evan Ingram or everything was contested. Conversely, Josh Allen, like last week with Dak Prescott, there are guys wide open. How is that possible in the NFL? And Jerry Rice doesn't play for the Bills.
Sense of urgency. We just talked about that, sense of urgency. You're not going to tell me that our defenders are just that horrible. You're not going to tell me that. It's a sense of urgency. It's like I told you earlier. I think guys are going out there and they're playing timid. Sometimes you have to drop them, put them on the line. You got to go for the gusto. You can't go out there playing not to get beat. You got to go out there and play to make a play. And that's exactly what the Buffalo Bills defense was doing. Like you said, every time the ball was caught, it was instant tackles. It was instant contact. There was a couple times where the guys decapitated our guys from the ball, made amazing plays on the ball. We didn't see that on our side of the ball. We didn't see that. Like Jack Rabbit just said, we don't need bright spots. We need to be bright all the time. And granted, you're not going to get it bright all the time, but that goes into the same thing what I was saying earlier as you want to compete. You have to love to compete before you love to win. And right now, we're just not seeing enough of that as an entirety on the defense side of the ball. It all goes hand in hand. It's not just the defensive back. It's the linebackers. It's the interior linemen. There's not enough pressure. It goes hand in hand.
And Victor, conversely, you know, it just feels like there's no easy throws for the Giants on offense. And then Eli tries to throw a deep ball. Fowler was running, and then he stopped. And then he tried to take off again. Eli's trying to throw him open. If you can't get open, you're hoping your quarterback can throw you open. Why would a guy stop on a play like that?
Yeah, I don't understand. There's no reason you should ever stop on a route unless you hear the whistle. That's the only time you should stop. You know, it's a struggle for Eli because obviously being decimated at the wide receiver position and then trying to will guys and get guys the football, it's just never easy. And then when you're operating from behind, from a deficit, it just makes it that much harder to get guys open and to get plays made. But you can see that the Buffalo Bills were daring those guys, were daring the Giants on offense to throw the football. They're putting 7 guys in the box. They're not letting Saquon just get the handoff and take it as far as he wants to. They were making us throw the football on the perimeter, and that's where the game was won.
All right, we're going to take a timeout here on the program. When we come back, we'll hear from Eli Manning. You're watching Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz here on MSG. All right, introducing the official Giants checking account only from Investors Bank. Get the checking account that lets you score big. This is the scoring drive of the game, opening drive of the game. 5 plays, 75 yards. Barkley, a 27-yard touchdown run. Saquon had 4 carries on that 5-play drive, totaling 55 yards. Investors Bank will donate $250 to CASA of New Jersey for every Giants scoring drive this season. So 2 scoring drives today means $500. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz here on MSG. The Bills beat the Giants 28-14. Eli Manning addressing the media, and after that opening drive in which the Giants had a 7-0 lead, Eli was asked what happened the rest of the way.
You know, we just weren't able to, on that drive, we had a great first and second down production, and, you know, ran the ball well. Obviously, after that, we just didn't do as well, you know, just on our first and second down stuff. Got into some third downs. We didn't convert on third downs, got into some third and longs, and, you know, they did a good job, batting balls, just, you know, causing us to not get positive yards early in the downs, and got us into, you know, just some third downs. You know, I thought we had a couple good drives. I think the 2 drives, you know, before half, not scoring, hurt us. You know, they're a good defense. They don't give up many big plays, and, you know, it's one of those you gotta take advantage of it when you have good field position and get into those scoring opportunities. And you know, to have had a chance on the third down, safety made a good play, hitting Benny, and then had a batted ball intercepted, which hurts when you're in scoring position.
Eli, what's the frustration level, the disappointment level at this point, starting 0-2?
Yeah, I mean, it's not, you know, obviously it's not how you want to start, and you know, we just gotta keep fighting and find ways to play better football. That's as simple as it comes down to. It's not, you know, I know we can play better. I know we can do better than what we are, and we're just we got to find a way to come together as a team and win as a team.
Eli, is being thin at wide receiver affect the offense chemistry or production?
Well, I mean, I thought the receivers did a great job today. They made plays. You know, TJ comes in. You know, was here in preseason a little bit, but you know, had a couple nice catches, had a touchdown. So you know, I think obviously when you have guys that have been here all the time, and all of a sudden you lose Sterling, and obviously Golden, lose Cody for a little bit today. You know, it can change things. You know, it makes us put Rhett in different spots, put Evan in different spots. But I thought a couple receivers, new guys have been here just a few weeks, made some plays for us today.
How did they take away Evan today? What were they doing?
I mean, I don't know if they had a specific plan to take away Evan. I think it's just just depends on the coverages, on the plays you have called, and we had to move Evan around a little bit. He probably playing some different spots. So we got to do a better job getting our playmakers the ball though.
Does this start put more pressure on you?
I think there's always when you're 0-2, there's pressure on everybody. That's just the way it goes. But you can't have that affect you. You can't let that change the way you prepare, the way you play. I gotta make better throws and better decisions and find ways to convert on third downs. That's a quarterback's job.
Is there something on those batted passes that either maybe thrown sidearm, or when you look at the film, will you see things that
we'll look to see if there's a theme. Getting it over the top, like you said. I don't know. We'll have to look. Sometimes it's just defender just having to put his hand up and having to be right in the lane of where you're throwing. So sometimes it's luck, and I think they're pretty good at it. They batted a bunch of balls last week against the Jets. We saw that on film. Kind of knew they like to bat, and got a few today, which hurt us.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills with a lot of batted passes at the line. You see Josh Allen and Eli Manning's numbers, same amount of yards. Allen obviously much more effective in the ball game. He also ran for a touchdown in this football game, and Eli Manning had the 2 interceptions. One was in garbage time, and then that one near the end of the first half. Ball gets tipped at the line. Did you get a sense? Eli's, listen, you played for him. Did you ever get a sense? Did you get a sense that he was getting a little frustrated? It seemed like after a lot of routes, he's pointing at guys and saying, "I thought you were going to be here or there." That 2 weeks into the season, you really shouldn't be having.
Yeah, I agree. I think you did see a little bit of that. I just think that when you're at the end of the day, the guys Bennie Fowler and Cody Ladd, he's not familiar with these guys. He's not as familiar. Yes, they have a training camp under their belts. Yes, Cody was there a bit last year, but he isn't as familiar with these guys as, say, Sterling or, guys like that he's seen for a number of years. So there's still, and as well as being a part of a new offense coming off of last year. So he hasn't had that much time to build in real time with these guys. And I think you're starting to see some of those frustrations come out of that. That's why you see kind of, I thought you went left and you went right. And some of that miscommunication that you're seeing out there on that field is because I just don't think that full, wholehearted chemistry is there with the receivers and with the receiving core that they have on the field right now.
Even when they went for the 4th down from the Giant 43, when there still was a chance, I mean, he's expecting T.J. Jones to run the out and get out of the break. He never got out of the break. The ball sails. It looks like he's throwing it to nobody. Antrell, you take a look at this and you watch what happened with this team. Their margin of error is so small because they're not that good. You can't have a drop pass like Fowler had at the end of the half. It's 3rd and 9. Now you're going to have 1st and goal. You got a chance to go in and score. Then you miss a field goal. Then you get a pass tipped. Those are the kind of things that just kill a team. They're not good enough to overcome it.
Well, when you're a team that's struggling as the Giants are, obviously for the past couple of seasons, you have to take advantage of each and every opportunity. You have to get the basket. That's what we call it. Get the basket. When
Tip balls in the air. Defense ain't getting them.
You gotta get it. But it's gonna take a lot more than just the schematic aspect of the game. I honestly feel as a defense, you have to go out there and be nasty. You have to go out there and have an attitude. And I'm not seeing guys mad. I'm not even seeing guys angry when things are not going their way. I'm not seeing guys fighting and shedding off blocks. There's not enough nastiness going on. Come on, man, it's D. You got to tighten up.
All right, we're going to take a timeout. Our producer's saying we got to tighten up, too, because we got to get to Saquon Barkley. That's coming up next. Maybe Culleny can play defense. You're watching Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz here on MSG.
The open drive was a great start. I don't think you could ask for any better start for the first 2 games that we had. But, it's NFL. They're going to make plays. The Bills made a great adjustments, and we adjusted off of that. And I think we were able to create some drive later on in the game. Just got to find a way to finish on 3rd downs and finish in the red zone. We continue to start great. We got to, as the season continue to go on, we got to continue to have that in our back pocket, a great start. But we just got to find a way to execute better and win games.
What's your level of frustration and disappointment starting 0-2?
Yeah, it's very disappointing starting 0-2. But you know what? You still get to live another day. The season's not over. Our chance at the playoffs are not over. So, but you can't keep having that mindset. You got to come in and attack it. We definitely got to execute better. Got to come to practice. We got to practice at a high level. Just try everything that we're doing. Just try to turn up another notch, just so we can take care of the rest of the games in the season.
So another 100-yard rushing game for Saquon Barkley. But, when your defense doesn't hold up and suddenly you get behind by a lot, you can't use them because you get into a passing game. But why do they go off the script, so to speak? The opening drive, like zip, 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 hot knife through butter, and then they start doing other stuff. Why wouldn't you just run the same 5 plays you ran on the first drive and just wait and see if they can stop it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's the question I was asking myself right after that first drive when the next 2-3 drives kind of stalled out is why not continue to give a heavy dose of Saquon Barkley, figure out different ways to get him the football. So we had some screen games and stuff like that early in the first quarter. Kind of went away from that in the second quarter a little bit, obviously because we had to throw a little bit more as we were down. But I just think they need to continue to find different ways to get him the football. Obviously, he's doing what he's supposed to do as the leader of this team, as a captain, 100-plus yards. That's all you can ask for him to do as a running back. But I still think there's different ways. Put him at slot. Get him some routes. He can do all of those things. Obviously, you don't want to burn him out to go throughout the season. But when you're 0-2, you don't have that option anymore. You have to put all guns on the table, everything, all guns are blazing. So you get out there and put your best foot forward, but they got to figure out ways to get him the football. And then that keeps everybody off balance. Then you can get Cody Latimer the ball and Benny, and you'll see some more one-on-one coverages. Things will start to open up once you get creative in how you give Saquon Barkley the football.
Antrell, your thoughts on, how they use him, how they need to use him moving forward to help them get out of this mess that they're in, because he's the key to everything.
Well, I think, Saquon's the type of guy, a different build than Christian McCaffrey, obviously, but you can also use him in that same scheme. Guys touching the ball. He had over 100-plus catches last year as a running back. You have to use your best weapon, use your best asset, and then to counterpart that, the guys around him, they have to step up. You have to step up. We knew when Vic played that they were going to double-team Vic. We knew they were going to kill Vic, but you also had Mario stepping up. You also had Akeem Nicks stepping up. You had Brandon and Ahmad carrying the load. So we can hit you from so many different angles, and right now the key is Saquon. And we all know that. So until the other guys around him step up and start making plays and honestly be to the point where coaches put on film next week and say, okay, well, we have to worry about this guy a little bit. Let's roll coverage of this way a little bit. Saquon is only going to do exactly what he's doing within these last 2 games, which is he's getting 100 yards and he's doing his thing, but it's not going to be enough.
All right. Well, he's got a lot of game-changing likability. We saw it. Just what he did on that opening drive with the 27-yard touchdown run. These guys understand what great plays are all about. They were part of some of the greatest plays in the history of the New York Giants. We'll revisit that next. You're watching Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz here on MSG. Well, at halftime, the Giants unveiled the greatest play in franchise history. David Tyree with the helmet catch. Plaxico caught the game-winning touchdown. Justin Tuck with 2 sacks of Tom Brady in Super Bowl 42. As we welcome you back to Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz. Now, you guys had one of your plays as part of that group of the best 4 plays as voted on by the fans. The Mario Manningham catch in Super Bowl 46 made the cut. What do you remember about that play and the aftermath of it?
I just remember seeing it seeing it live, obviously, and I knew immediately because Rio had the best feet in the game. So I knew once he caught it, I was like, the feet were definitely in. And I just remember jumping for joy and being excited and then just looking up at the Jumbotron and, like, counting it, like, catch, and then 1, 2 feet. Yes, finally we got it. And then and just being excited about the whole moment, and then obviously going in to score, then the anticipation for the Patriots to throw the ball in the end zone. And once it hit the ground, I almost kissed Rio on the forehead a couple of times just to make sure, for good measure.
Were you a little mad that Bradshaw forgot to fall down?
I wasn't even worried about that. I wasn't even worried about that.
You didn't care that Brady got another shot at it?
I didn't care.
Hey, how cool was it? I mean, because you had some of the guys from the 86 era and the 90 era with Super Bowl and the play by Bavaro. I mean, that's one of the great plays, obviously, in Giants history. But just to be a part of all of that, being down there today.
Well, it's extremely special. Anytime that you can recap with your guys, especially the ones that you share the gridiron way and the guys who obviously paved the way before yourself, it's always a magical moment, man, because that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire career. I was extremely exhausted. Once Super Bowl was done, I was exhausted. I couldn't talk. I couldn't move. I just went up to my room the night that we won and just honestly just went to sleep. I regrouped the next day and got it in, but I mean, I literally exhausted myself.
I always tell people that the NFC Championship game was the most physically exhausting game, and the Super Bowl was the most mentally exhausting game because of the things you go through throughout the week, making sure your family's good, but still trying to get this game plan and make sure you know everything like the back of your hand. And Trell, tell you, we had the best practices maybe ever of that week.
Fierce.
We knew we were going to win the game because of how we practiced.
Yeah, and you had a touchdown to get the game started. Were you a little pissed that the 99-yard touchdown catch didn't make the top 4?
No, that play will live in its own infamy. It'll live in its own box. I'm not this play by Rio. Just for me, it takes the cake because of the level of difficulty, where that ball was placed for Rio to catch it, get those 2 feet in on the highest stage that you could play on. Just all those factors factored in for me. 99-yard one to live. My mother hold that one down for
well,
the rest
I mean,
of my
I think
life.
Giant fans too.
Too. Yes,
when you have a franchise that's got 95 years of history, it's kind of hard to whittle it down to 4.
Yeah, very true.
Right?
My guy's magical. I mean, I give it up. I tell people all the time, I used to love watching him play. I used to love it.
Yeah, well, all right. Well, that was a fun day today at MetLife Stadium, at least at halftime, The final score, maybe not so much, as the Bills win it 28-14. You're watching Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz, the official luxury automobile of the New York Giants, here on MSG. All right, the Giants head to Florida next Sunday at 4:05. They'll take on the Tampa Bay Bucks, as the Bucks are coming off a Thursday night win against the Carolina Panthers. And you see Jameis Winston played a solid game the other night in Carolina. Peyton Barber has been a key to them offensively, and not as much Mike Evans, but Chris Godwin is off to a good start this season. As we welcome you back to Giants Postgame Live, presented by Mercedes-Benz here on MSG. And Victor, obviously, Tampa's defense on Thursday night really laid the wood to Cam Newton. They were all over him. They did a really good job of containing Christian McCaffrey. This might be a better Bucs team than the Giants saw last year. They're going to have to play a lot better than they did today to win.
Yeah, I agree. That defense really got after Cam Newton, and we all know what Cam can do with his legs and his abilities at his tall stature. So they got to figure out ways to keep Eli protected in that pocket first and foremost. And then on the opposite side of the ball, they have to figure out how to get some turnovers from Jameis Winston. He's been a turnover machine the last 2 years. They have to figure out how to get him in positions to throw the ball errantly, to be in those on the run, outside of the pocket situations where he can have those errant throws, so the defense can play energetically and get the ball and have some interceptions and just make it cloudy for him. I think once you make it cloudy for Jameis Winston, you collapse that pocket a little bit. He'll give you those balls in the secondary, but you have to get to the quarterback.
Well, they played a guy today that's a turnover machine. And again, Antro, we talk about tip balls. They pick it off. The Giants don't. They've got to be better. Is that just being more hungry, as you like to say?
Well, it's obviously being more hungry, but it's more so being instinctive. Understanding your scheme, you have to take chances within the scheme. You have to be able to disguise the quarterback, confuse him a little bit. But when you see Jabril Peppers down on the tight end and you see Anton Bethea back deep, it's that way every time. You're not confusing them. You're not confusing him.
Predictable, right?
Yeah, give him something to juggle his mind a little bit. All it takes is a split second for him to make one bad decision, and you have to capitalize on the opportunity.
All right, well, they're going to have to figure out some of these things to get this thing fixed, because it's going to get late pretty early here. Already off to an 0-2 start, and, the Giants obviously losing. All right, you think they're going to get it turned around?
I think so. I think Tampa's the week they get their first win, and then I think they can build on that and get things rolling. But they got to get healthy. That's the only way.
You believe in it?
If I see more attitude, maybe I'll give them a chance. But until I see then, I'm not believing it.
You're watching Giants Postgame Live on MSG.